welcome back to the channel. Thanks for joining us again. If you're tuning in from the last video, you saw this car in full race mode. Today's video, we need to make it ready for the street. If you guys have been following along with the channel, you know this is a true street strip car. I drive it on the street, I drag race it, I drive it to the drags, switch tires, race it all day, switch tires, drive it home. It is what the car is. So last video you saw we had open headers, no exhaust system, we had the drag slicks on it, and it was still coming off of that dyno only tune. Today I'm gonna show you guys what I've done because I've actually gone ahead and built the whole exhaust. I was gonna film it, but honestly it was such a headache doing it in this small garage. I could only get the car up so high. It was just, I couldn't make a video out of it. It was just too painful. I just had to get the job done. Sometimes you got to do that. Sometimes you got to turn the camera off and just get to work. So I did. I'm going to show you guys everything I did. It was just a modification on my previous setup, but with those new headers, I had to do something to make it work. And today, also, we're going to be switching tires. I got a brand new street setup of tires. We're going to be taking off the Krager N50 combo I've been running on the street for the last 5 years or so, and moving to a set of Billet specialty streetlight series that match the front, and we got a larger Hoosier Pro Street tire for the street on it too. And the final thing we got to do is we have to get into some carb tuning. Now, this carb was tuned on the dyno for wide open throttle to make the most horsepower at the drag strip to get the best ET. It's not good on the street. I've driven it around just a little bit. Even on that video you saw me drive it down the street, come back. This thing is pig rich on tip-in. Again, if you've been following along, you guys know I run a wideband O2 in the car to tune carburetor specifically. So we're gonna do some carb tuning, get this thing into street mode, and let's get after it. We got some stuff to do, some stuff to see. Let's go. Okay, so let's check out the exhaust system. I get a lot of questions on the channel about this, why I did it, how I did it, and what it is. So let's get right into it. So the TTI headers, the 1 7/8 race header, they have a 3.5-inch collector. So this area here, 3.5-inch. What you see there is a wideband O2 threaded insert. I have a plug in this side. My one is actually on the other side. You can see the cable for it down there. So I got my wideband O2 in the driver's side. But the 3.5-inch collector, so with TTI, they give you a set of 3.5 to 3-inch reducer. So I put that guy in there, had to add a set of 3-inch dumps. I open these on race days to run open exhaust, but leave the rest of the system on the car. Yes, I would like to just run a header extension, but you guys know I drive to the track, drive home. I'm not pulling the whole exhaust off. It's kind of a pain to do. If I do go to a big track, I will do that. But this is the setup for now anyway. So 3.5-inch collector, 3-inch reducer, 3-inch dump, and then it comes down again to 2.5-inch exhaust to the Flowmaster 40 series in and out the front to some 3-inch tips, and that just gives it a little bit of boom on the street. This thing is loud on the street, by the way. So this is actually the same exhaust I had the whole time, and you see I just had to cut it here and then modify this section in, because before it was a 3-inch collector, so just a 3, and I went down from 3 to 3.5, and this was 3 to 2.5, and then this was a 2.5 dump, and then the whole system was 2.5. So just with those new headers, I had to cut and remove this front section and then build this out underneath the car, which was a bit of a pain. You might be like, oh, that's no problem, and if you got a lift, yeah, no problem, but doing it this high off the ground, it sucked. After that, I just simply touched it all up with some header paint. That stuff is great, VHT high temp paint, and it makes it look brand new. So I'm really happy with how that turned out. No, this is not the final for this exhaust, but this is how I'm going to run it for the next little bit. I would like to make a complete H-pipe that I can pull on and off at the track. That would be best case scenario, with a header extension that is on the car the whole time, and then make an H-pipe that just slides on and off. I would like to do that one day. Not going to happen this year though. Now I get a lot of questions about why I run this exhaust as opposed to going straight out the back. I have a few videos on it. Really quickly though, if you mini tub your Dart, you cannot run your exhaust all the way out the back unless you modify the gas tank or have a fuel cell. More info on some of those other videos, but that's the exhaust system all freshened up, and it sounds pretty good again. And I'll have a 3-inch dump now, so that's sweet. Those headers are nice too. Oof, look at that, prime time. Okay, let's get into the street wheels now. So what we're looking at here is a Billet Specialties street light wheel. It is a 15 by 10 with a 4-inch back spacing. When we did the Dana swap in the car, the overall width I worked out to run a 4-inch back spacing. So both these and the race rims are the same. The tire is a 29-12.5 Hoosier Pro Street tire. They're a nice tire. Honestly, I wasn't too stoked on the tread pattern to begin with. I wanted to run Mickey Thompson's, but if you guys have been trying to buy Mickey Thompson's lately, you know that is damn near impossible. These are available for now. I've also heard Hoosier has been bought as well, so I don't know what's going on there. But you know what, honestly, this is growing on me more and more. The side lettering is really cool. It's a nice looking combo. So I'm stoked to get those on the car, and they're replacing our Street N50 Kragers. Let's pull those off and I'll tell you about the difference, about why I switched over, because it does help our street gear ratio as well. Yep, last ride for the old Kragers. So here we go with the side-by-side comparison. This guy is a little bit taller, so it is an inch taller. It is a 29 overall, where the N50 is about a 28. New wheels, aluminum, lighter, easier to move on and off the car. Don't get me wrong, I love this combo. I am never selling those Kragers, and I'm never selling those tires. Don't even ask. I'm keeping them forever, and I got the front still as well, so I got a matching set. They're not going anywhere. This is a nice looking setup though. This is gonna look great on the car. When I relocated the diff on the Dart, we did pull the rear end back a little bit so I could fit a 29 tall in there. That's just gonna help my gear ratio on the highway. It's gonna make probably drop about 100 or 200 RPM at cruise on the highway, having the taller tire as opposed to the smaller guy. And I like a big tire. I want to fill that wheel well. So let's throw these things on there and hope they fit. That's tight. Nice things too, both wheels now use the same lug nuts, so I don't have to swap lugs, carry extra lugs around with me, which is a bonus. I always finish by hand. Okay, so let's bring you guys up to speed on the carburetor situation, because this is actually a couple days later. I've been messing with this all week. So earlier I was talking about I was having a fat issue on just tipping in off of idle, trying to cruise around. My AFR gauge inside the car was reading 10s the whole time, and that is not good. So I didn't want to mess with the jetting too much right away, because we are coming off the dyno and we made the most horsepower with those jetting combos that were in there. So to start with, I'll tell you, I got my mixture screws even all the way around. I could only get them out a half a turn, a bit more than half a turn all the way around to keep them even and get a good idle, both in park neutral and in gear, using those screws. But then once I did start tipping in, it would immediately go really fat to like 10, and the car was not happy. So I immediately thought that I could maybe mess with that idle circuit and introduce more air using the air bleeds. So I upped the size of the air bleeds to allow more air into that idle circuit. Hopefully that would only be where I was at when I was kind of trying to move around, was just still on that idle circuit. So I did that, and that allowed me to move my idle mixture screws out further, which is good because Holly does want those 1.5 turns out, and I'm only 3/4 turns out right now. But unfortunately, once I tipped in, it still was dead fat. So the next thing I tried to do, I opened it up and went into the metering plates, where I actually have idle restrictor jets. Most Holly's non-race ones have just an orifice. This actually has little jets in there. So I was like, okay, well, if I can cut the fuel down, maybe it's pulling fuel because it's got a high vacuum on that light acceleration, and it's probably pulling fuel from there. Changed the jets, went way down. Again, I could move my idle mixture screws out further, but same result, still dead fat. The next thing I thought, okay, well, maybe the power valve is having an issue. So pulled it apart. It has a 4.5 power valve in the front and the back. And I went to a 3.5, which I think is the smallest you can get. I had one, tried it, no change. So now it's all back to exactly how it was on the dyno. So then it was like, okay, nothing left to do but to change jets. So I started pulling jet out of the front. Again, I'm so happy I have an AFR gauge. This is the only way to do this kind of thing. So I have pulled out a considerable amount of jet, and now we can flash this thing up. I have done a couple test drives, so I know we're pretty good now, and I've pulled enough jet out there where we can go for a cruise. So that's up to speed on where we're at with the carburetor situation. I am going to have to retune the whole jetting system, fuel curve for it in the car, because I cannot drive around on that dyno tune we had. If I was just going to the racetrack, once I got past like 3,000 RPM and the thing was ready to make full pull, like on the trans brake, it's no problem. We saw that on the dyno, but I need this car to run on the street and the track. So using that AFR gauge, I will be tuning this carburetor to its full potential for both street and strip. So hope that made sense. It's a bit of a ramble, but now we're ready to check the air cleaner back on, fire this thing up, pull her out. We can check out the new wheels and take her for a cruise. All right, let's go. Sounds pretty good with full exhaust. Look at that meat. Still got the tire sticker on there. Not for long. That 29 fills up that wheel well so good. That looks nice. I'm not putting caps on this. I'm leaving those strange axles showing. Checking that AFR. So a little fat there, but I flicked the throttle. It's kind of pulling up RPM. Gotta play with the idle a little still. Try to kick her down. Oh, maybe not. So there's just over 1,000, and then it's 14, which is nice. Just under 14. So that's nice. There's the GoPro mount. We'll go for a ride. That's your view on race day as well. If you haven't seen those videos, coming up soon. Alright, got some heat in her. Let's hit the street. Yeah, let's see how she does on this street tune. And clicking into reverse, hold the button, Joe. Manual steering, holding the button. Not easy. Okay, let's go. Still getting used to this manual valve body. And it's reverse pattern too, so. Still fat on a little bit of tipping, but I don't want to go too far from that dyno tune either. See how she does on the highway. Jeez, that third hits hard. Oh man. It would even struggle just cruising down the road there, so it's still fat, but a lot better for sure. Idling about 1,000 and my air fuel's at 14, but bouncing around 14, so that's pretty nice. 12 zone, so that's pretty good. I definitely have to play with it still, for sure. Okay guys, that's gonna close out this video. Thanks so much for checking out the car, coming for that first real drive. That's the longest I've driven it since putting the new motor in. There's about 20 minutes just around some local streets and stuff, but we made a ton of progress on that carb. I'm gonna spend the rest of the weekend dialing that carburetor in, so lots of highway laps for me. Probably not gonna film it because I might be doing some illegal activities to tune that carburetor in, so more videos coming soon. We got racing just around the corner and I'm absolutely stoked. The first event's actually the big local event, so stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching. See you guys soon.